Welcome to the WyoVarsity Friday Night Recap, Week 7 edition, sponsored by the Parkway Plaza Hotel and Convention Center here in Casper. As you can see, I'm back in Wyoming after a week off in California. Good to be back here in Casper. Starting to feel like fall again, and that's why I'm rocking the sweater. Getting a little bit cooler out, maybe some real football weather for once this season. We've been blessed with some warmer temperatures. But anyways, Week 7 was an interesting week. Not the exciting matchups that we quite had maybe back in Week 5, but certainly some exciting results, and we'll take you through kind of the biggest ones around the state. Starting in 4A, maybe the most exciting game of the week was Cheyenne South hosting Rock Springs. Cheyenne South, looking for its first win of the year, had a 19-point lead late in the third quarter, but couldn't hold it. Rock Springs comes back. The game featured back-to-back kickoff returns for touchdowns, something I don't think I've ever seen at any level of football. And the Tigers eked out a 50-47 win over Cheyenne South. The Bison have played some of the most exciting games this year and just haven't been able to come out on top. Some bad luck, some bad fortune, and some bad execution, resulting in what is now an 0-8 record for the Bison. But that's good playoff implications for Rock Springs. On the top of the standings, Gillette demolished Laramie pretty good, and the Camels locked up home field advantage as the number 1 seed. So the Camels are looking to do big things in the playoffs and hopefully use that home field advantage before they hope get into Laramie. Otherwise, one of the more surprising results of the night, Sheridan just absolutely throttled Natrona County and did it in a way that not many teams have been able to do against Natrona County this year or in previous years. They ran all over Natrona. Evan Kuhn had 4 touchdowns, over 100 yards rushing, and this is against a defense that was giving up less than 100 yards rushing per game coming into tonight's matchup. So a good win for Sheridan. They lock up the number 2 seed, and will look to really try and get back to Laramie and potentially secure a rematch with Gillette if the seeds hold accordingly. But that means with Natrona County's loss that the Rock Springs-Natrona matchup next weekend has some big implications. That means that if Natrona wins, they're going to be the 3 seed. But if Rock Springs beats Natrona and Gillette beats Cheyenne East, Rock Springs all of a sudden becomes the 3 seed. That's pretty amazing for a team that was kind of at a down year in 2014 as it's fought its way back up the standings. So we'll see how the 4A playoff picture shapes out. Kelly Walsh clinched the playoff berth tonight with a good win over Cheyenne Central. They've won 2 in a row and can get that 6 seed with a win on the road next week. So still some things to figure out in the 4A playoff race, but it's shaping up with 1 week left. In 3A, out west, things were kind of business as usual. Star Valley and Jackson, the top 2 teams there, took care of business. They rolled Worland and Powell, respectively, and that sets up the Week 8 matchup we've been looking forward to kind of ever since we figured out that these were the top 2 teams, potentially in the state, but certainly out west. And that's going to decide the 3A West conference title and who can potentially avoid a potential semifinal matchup going to the other side against Torrington, who is the number 1 seed out east. Torrington rolled again. They're undefeated. So kind of business as usual in 3A. Some things to sort out next week as well, but certainly the game to watch, and maybe throughout the state the game to watch, is that Jackson at Star Valley game that's going to feature 2 teams with great defenses and maybe even better running attacks. So that one's certainly one to watch, and you'll want to watch the vidcast on that from the Star Valley media. Going down to 2A, it's going to be Graybull versus Lovell next week for the 2A West title and the number 1 seed there. Winner gets the number 1 seed, loser takes the number 2 seed. That's pretty simple after both of them won this weekend. Out east, things are a little bit more interesting. Bighorn, Glenrock, and Wheatland all with a chance to take the number 1 seed still. All 3 of them won this week. Bighorn's got to travel to Wheatland. Wheatland controls its own destiny. If they win, stay undefeated, they're going to be a number 1 seed. And they're certainly favored to do so. Their defense, again, only gave up 6 points tonight, so they continue to roll. But, we've got 1 week left in the regular season, some playoff spots to figure out, but I can't believe that the regular season is basically almost done. Seems like yesterday, just about 2 months ago, that we started, and we're wondering, which defending champions we're going to get back to Laramie, and now we're here, and I don't know if any of them are going to get back from the seeds that they have in the playoffs, but certainly can't count any of those teams out with the history they have. As usual, we'll go over the game balls. First game ball goes to Sheridan running back Evan Kuhn. Evan Kuhn had 4 rushing touchdowns and over 100 yards today. Again, like I mentioned, against a Natrona defense that was ranked number 1, I think, in 4A. Nobody's been able to run against Natrona this year or in previous years. So the first game ball goes to Evan Kuhn of Sheridan. I'm sure he can share this with the offensive line doing the dirty work up front for him. Second game ball goes to Tanner Warden, Bighorn quarterback. Tanner wasn't even supposed to be the primary signal caller for Bighorn. If it wasn't for an injury to Colin Powers, I don't even know if we would have heard his name this year. But Tanner throws 6 touchdown passes in a 49-0 win over Newcastle, putting Bighorn back in contention to get that number 1 seed potentially. So I think I said it in week 0 or week 1 with Blake Godwin, Sheridan's QB. You throw 6 touchdown passes in a game, you're getting a game ball from me. So Tanner Warden, Bighorn quarterback, game ball number 2. Third game ball goes to the Rock Springs trio of Matt Fowler, Riley Padilla, and Matt Kalista. Those 3 were primarily responsible for the epic comeback that I got to watch online tonight. Matt Fowler, I think, had 4 rushing touchdowns tonight, over 100 yards at least. I think he had the first 3 scores for the Tigers. Riley Padilla had what would end up being the game-winning touchdown run from about 35 yards out. And then Matt Kalista had what I think was maybe the play of the game after Cheyenne South that returned a touchdown, returned a kickoff for a touchdown. He came back and returned a kickoff for a touchdown to keep it a 1-score game, and I think Rock Springs scored shortly after that. So the 3 of them, it'd be very easy to give up down 19 points in the third quarter on the road against a desperate team, but Rock Springs eked out a win, and so the third game ball goes to those 3, and basically the whole Rock Springs teams for being a very resilient bunch and getting a big win for them with the potential to be the number 3 seed in the 4A playoffs. Who would have thought that coming into the regular season this year? But that'll do it for this edition of the WyoVarsity Friday Night Recap. Thanks as always for tuning in, and keep it here at WyoVarsity.com for all your high school coverage.